Giles Brown.
Let's talk.
Processed. How the processed meat industry is killing us with the food we love. It is a controversial statement. Some might argue that our love affair with processed meat is killing us, and this is a chilling expose that the food industry doesn't want you to see. If you think I'm talking baloney, then listen to my next guest, because my next guest is author of Processed. She is Lucie Morris Marr, and I'm delighted to say that Lucie joins me live on the line now. Lucie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us. Explain a little bit about your background and what led up to you writing Processed.
Yeah, so in late 2019, my world came to a standstill when I was unfortunately diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. And I was just 44. I was in the prime of my life. My first book had just been published. My kids were 9 and 11. I was a busy working mum. And it was an absolutely earth-shattering day, as you can imagine. And as I started to investigate, look, I was healthy. I'm a swimmer. I love walking. I thought I ate very healthily. And I just couldn't understand, what led to this. And I still never know for sure, of course, but it led me on this quest of searching for reasons behind bowel cancer. And something that kept coming up again and again was processed meat. Now, I felt at that point, I don't really eat much meat. So my husband loves ham and everything. I didn't eat that. But then I really thought about it and thought, oh, yes, there was the bacon at brunch. I used to put bacon in soup. And of course, the show-stopping Christmas ham with the cloves, the red wine. A lot of listeners will love that. And of course, the odd sausage. And then I really looked in closely about the risks that these pose and the warnings that have been made over the years, very serious warnings, lots of serious studies. But it was a food scare that has been ignored. And the food industry is very happy about that. And I thought, why is it being ignored? And hang on a minute, someone needs to shine a light on it. And as an investigative journalist, that came down to me.
I mean, it's quite disturbing, isn't it? Because it is. We don't really think about it, especially if you're British. Bacon is a part of your basically your daily diet, isn't it? You can't beat a bacon butter, you can't beat sausage showers, etc. But I don't think we think enough, because obviously processed food tends to be cheaper than other types of food. It is pushed, it is advertised, it is go on, throw another slice of salami or pepperoni on the pizza, for example, Lucie.
Absolutely. It's so part of daily lives in a lot of Western countries. And of course, you're broadcasting from Spain, the charcuterie, the beautiful tapas, it's irresistible. But what I'm finding, what was most disturbing, which was an ingredient in nearly all of these favorites, it's in the pepperoni, bacon, ham, everything, is the sodium nitrate family, the nitro preservatives. Now, I came up with, I read hundreds of clinical studies and uncovered a lot of research about the links with this horrible preservative and a lot of very serious conditions, especially a whole range of cancers, including my own, and mental health and dementia and many others. And it really alarmed and disturbed me. Even during my research, I knew it was going to be bad, and it just got worse and worse. And interestingly, the EU is the one area of the world where they have actually recently reduced the maximum amount of nitrates that producers can make. But many experts, especially coming from France, this is where the sort of rebellion has been led from, have actually argued they want everything to be chemical nitrate free and to use organic preservatives, because you still need the nitrates, of course, to stop the botulism and to keep it shelf stable and that sort of thing. But they're arguing that organic preservatives like celery powder are the better alternative. But overall, even with that change, other people are still saying there's still a risk with processed meats in general. And so, look, I just don't want anyone to suffer. I just want to be the messenger. If people want to keep eating their bacon, go for it. But, I wouldn't want anyone to suffer like I have. I'm alive by the skin of my teeth. I got through 5 years and I was running out of options. And then I got a very last minute reprieve late last year, and I got a liver transplant, and that's why I'm talking to you now. But I'm only one of a few people in the world who've been allowed a liver transplant with colorectal cancer. It's a very new thing. So I'm here, it's very lucky I'm alive. And was it processed meat? I'll never know. But there was a UK study that came out that said they believe 13% of all bowel cancers are down to processed meats. Now in Spain, there's 25,000 new cases every year. So that's around over 3,000 a year of new cases. And some of those will be terminal right from the day of diagnosis, which could be down to processed meats. It's that serious. So yes, it is something that people have every day, but I just want people to I just don't want anyone to suffer at all. It's been horrible.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're actually speaking to you today, Lucy. This is a part of perhaps of a wider thing of a disconnect that we have with our food, because we go for the easy option. We don't think to ask these questions. And a lot of points, we are discovering new medical links every day. And I grew up, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, supermarkets, big food, the whole thing, TV dinners. Now, if you showed a kid a TV dinner now, they'd probably go, my goodness, what's in that? We are more informed about what we eat, but we've lost a connect with where it comes from. And obviously the huge gap in differences, and there's a whole thing about wealth and poverty gap and education and not home economics. We don't know where the food comes from. We go for the fast and easy options. And that is, again, something we need to ask more questions about. What is our food, is in our food, and how it's going to affect us, Lucy.
Absolutely, because there's also a rise in Spain in particular of young adults getting colorectal cancer, and that's very concerning. And yes, there is more reliance in that age group of takeaways and that sort of thing. And then, of course, sugary drinks. And also, I must point out that there can be many reasons of bowel cancer: obesity, lack of exercise, smoking, and that sort of thing. But yes, we can be very disconnected from food. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because there is this whole growth of plant-based diets and more natural and grow your own, and there's all that end of it. But there's also this surge in processed food, ultra-processed foods, and a reliance on it. And yes, it's cheap. And I say in my book, I'll never, ever judge anyone, any mum or dad who's having to buy processed meats. A pack of sausages can feed a lot of people for a cheap amount, for example. And that's the same in many countries. And I'll never judge that. But it's a shame they're having to turn to that. That's what I'm saying. And also, therefore, the food industry has I'm asking them to be more responsible, because at the moment they're being extremely ruthless and manipulative. And they're putting on things like, in Australia grown or RSPCA approved. But actually there's the nitrates, there's the sulfates, it's full of additives, salts, saturated fats. Obviously, it's really alarming. And I just think generally my message would be, check the labels. If you are going to have your special salamis, make it more of a treat. Try and seek out the organic ones and try and get better quality and have it more rare, and try and turn to other alternatives like, just clean meats like chicken and, lamb, etc. But still be careful, because red meats, of course, also have their own problems. But there are lots of other things, like I talk about in the book about halloumi, falafel. There's some delicious things out there that give you that salty bite. If I'm in a cafe having the eggs and tomatoes on toast and things, instead of bacon, I'll ask for lovely, lightly fried halloumi, and it's gorgeous, with avocado. I think it's a matter of trying to change those habits that are generational, like you say. Like, we were probably brought up in England on bacon sandwiches. It's just changing those habits, isn't it? And thinking of new ideas.
Yeah, and the other thing is obviously the food industry has to take some responsibility, because it's all you make a really interesting point about saying, because obviously you're based in Australia, but saying, this is environmentally friendly, Aussie grown, that sort of thing. Now, as a consumer, if you're, as a busy professional or whatever, you've got a family, you're not going to stay there and go, okay, I'm going to go through every little bit, because it's going to be in the small print on the back, in 3-point text. You're just going to go, okay, that says environmentally friendly or whatever, and it's got green packaging and a picture of a bleeding mountain or a happy smile or something. And you're just going to get it, aren't you? It's really tricky the way that they do that. And they say, yes, it maybe not have this in it, but it's got that, and that, and that, and they don't tell you.
It's so manipulative and so frightening. And all I can say is, yes, it might take a bit of time, but you get used to it, and just be really aware, because really, we've only got this one vessel to see this amazing world, and we are our biggest advocates. I've fought, I had about 4 oncologists by the end. I fired 3. So we have to be ruthless for our own health, and that's how I'm alive. But I would say, please do that about your diet. This is your body, your life, your chance to live in this amazing world. Especially in Spain, I'd love to be visiting Spain right now. You know, what a part of the world to be in. And you just want to be as healthy as possible, because unfortunately in Western countries at the moment, statistic is if you live long enough, 1 in 2 of you is going to get cancer. So do anything. My thing is just do anything you can to reduce that, you know, whether it's upping your steps and having a bit more plant food. And it's those small changes can make a lot of difference.
What was the reaction from people? Because you've gone around and gathered interviews. This isn't just a sort of a one, but though it's a very entertaining, read. I'm not saying it's a one woman, wake up call. That was the word I'm looking for. So when you speak to people, I mean, are those who know, or those who are aware, and those who've been saying, look, for a while now, are they now getting to the point saying, what more do you need to see about this? We've known there's a problem with processed foods. We've known that, there's we've had big farms, the food industry is a leviathan, and it's maybe not in the best interest of its consumers. So are people who've known this for a while getting more and more exasperated, Lucie?
Absolutely. I work closely with an amazing professor in France who was one of the leading experts on this. He, in fact, was on the 2015 World Health Organization panel, which declared processed meats nearly 10 years ago now as a class 1 carcinogen. I mean, it can't have been any worse. It was listed alongside tobacco, radiation, asbestos. And, he thought that would be enough, him and his panel members. That was based on multiple studies. They did not make that declaration lightly, and yet then there was a flurry of headlines in 2015. People listening might even remember seeing some of them, and then it all went a bit quiet. And a couple of years later, he was so exasperated, he was writing to powerful leaders in Europe, and he linked me this letter that he wrote, and it was pretty strongly worded, as you can imagine. And so it's interesting. It's been very difficult for those experts. So I did feel, look, I'm not starting this food scare. This is a food scare I just wanted to amplify because it wasn't really heard and the public messaging hasn't got out there. What I would like to see from this point, consumers, of course, can be at grassroots level in their delis, in their butchers saying, excuse me, I'd like organic. And, that's how cage eggs went to, free range eggs, right? It was the consumer essentially, but it also comes down to government regulations, to forcing the food industry to change, because they won't change if they're part of that decision at all. And, and also public health messaging. The cancer charities do list processed meats as something to avoid in every country. I've read them all. But unfortunately, the audience is people who've already got cancer and their carers. We just need it to be more preventative, people to be aware, because I was finding during the research of this, my mum friends, they were putting the salami in the lunch boxes, the Twiggy sticks and the ham. And when I explained everything, they were shocked in that everyday people, like some of course do, I can't discount that, but I found a lot of people were not aware of these risks. So I'm really delighted to, at the end of this journey, to have this book to come out, to be alive and to spread this message, because I feel like it was my calling, and at least I could hopefully, to be honest, even if just reading this book or hearing about it makes someone also do their bowel kit test, I'll be happy. If it helps one person save them, from getting cancer or catching it early, I would be delighted.
When it comes to writing something like this, and you have obviously been through the ringer, when you wrote through what you experienced, it must be a difficult one for you to write because of the experience you went through and the treatment and etc. And also to keep it objective, to state the fact. I know you're putting a message out there, and it's the correct message, Lucie. I'm not arguing with that, but to write it objectively, that must be a big ask for you.
Oh, I didn't. It was very emotional. And, I did put I wanted people to know exactly what cancer was like. Because I think sometimes if you've been lucky enough not to have a close family member or been through it yourself, it can seem like an abstract thing. It was for me at the age of 44, and it is for a lot of young people. I really slammed them with exactly what cancer was like, the emotional effect of me when I was diagnosed. But of course, yes, look, there's 400 footnotes. I'm hoping hoping someone gives me a PhD. I really would like one, because I had to be backed by the science. And that's why it took 4 years, and I made sure it was correct, because it's a big thing to come out with a book saying that processed meat's killing us. So I had to be certain of that. And so, yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. But no, everything's in there. I interviewed a lot of patients. Sadly, one of my closest friends died of bowel cancer during this whole, while I was writing it, and the book is dedicated to him. It's got a lot of emotion in it. And I actually, my style of writing, my first book was the same. I write narrative nonfiction, so it's actually written like a novel, and so far people are saying it's very gripping. So hopefully your listeners would enjoy getting a copy. It's on sale on Amazon, on sale in England, and I think you can get it sent to Spain, I'm sure.
Well, what you can do is because what we have the TRE, we have the Talk Radio Europe virtual bookstore, you see, and you go to our website and you click on, and it's sitting there, and you click on the link, or you click on the front cover, et voila, a book will be winging its way to them, you see. That's
amazing.
That's the appliance of science, Lucie. No problem at all.
Yes.
Basically, we're hoping there's an awareness here of what people should be looking out for. You're hoping that people will learn, as you said before, if it helps just one person, but obviously you want to alert a lot of people to this. This is what you're hoping that people will take from the book, Lucie.
Oh, absolutely. But also, I hope it sparks a conversation, and that sort of is a ripple, isn't it? I've already had people saying, oh, my husband's furious, I've stopped buying salami. I've had lovely little comments like that. And I just think it's the conversation. And then, of course, that could lead to bowel cancer being talked about. Even in my book, I would like organ donation to be talked about. It's a wonderful way to raise the issues I really, want to raise. But obviously, then on the bigger picture, I hope that, like I said, it may influence regulation and public health messaging on a wider scale. And, it might take more than my voice, but, I've already had fantastic media in the Times and the iPaper and the Daily Mail in England last week, lots of publicity in Australia, and I'm thrilled. And it's a wonderful thing to come out of all this suffering and do something really positive and hopefully just help. Like I said, even one person is a dream to me.
The book is called Processed, How the Processed Meat Industry is Killing Us with the Food We Love. It's by Lucie Morris Marr, who we're speaking to today. Lucie, if people want to follow you and say nice things or find out more about your journey and the struggle you've gone through and some tips, where should they go? Website, social media, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm on Twitter at Lucie Morris Marr, with a Lucy with an IE, Morris Marr, 2 R's. And I'm also on Instagram at Lucie, Lucie, Lucie Investigates.
Wonderful.
And yeah, so that's the best places to find me. And there's lots of information about the book there and the whole journey.
And you'll be, as I said before, you'll be able to order the book via our own virtual bookstore. The book is called Processed. It's by the wonderful Lucie Morris Marr. Lucie, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for interviewing me.